And of course, Mick and John and Alan, of course, create some wonderful villains, and I'm thinking of the Angel Gang here, and I wondered if you would mind talking a bit about the Angel Gang and how that was.
Well, once again, I doubt I've sent you much art wrap.
No, none whatsoever. as per usual.
But I mean, the characters were just wanted to design a bunch of psychopaths, and Mike rendered them very well.
And did you have any psychopath influences that helped with the look of those guys?
No, not really. I think I think just that story, that part of the story was it was like just the Wild West, and so I just thought of them as Jesse James and sci-fi twists. You did actually send us reference once. Do you remember the gorilla with the dark glasses and the tam o'shanter? Yeah, I got that through the post.
And the tam o'shanter?
Yeah, that's all that.
I would have mentioned things like the dial on Bean's head, but
you would, yeah.
I didn't send you a ref of them.
No, it was all, and really, everything was in such a hurry then that there was no real time to do sort of concept work or anything like that. It just made it up and appeared in the first panel I came to.
Did you do the was it the egg gang? Was it called the egg?
Don
Oggy Bellino.
Yeah.
And Fast Eek.
Yeah, well, that's easy because they're monkey.
I
know what they look like.
I think I went out.
I love those guys.
Well, actually, speaking of Minchin as well, is that we've seen him on the big screen as well. What was that like for you guys to see? Those characters in particular. Have you seen it?
I've seen it, yeah. I didn't really feel anything about it because it wasn't anything like what I designed. It was like I think most films and comics, they just take the idea and not only did they change the character, like they actually change the idea as well. So it's just the name, I think. Usually. So I thought the Mean Machine quite good.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty true.
Yeah, but well, I think the problem with that gang as well, the other three were pretty nondescript anyway. So, because having been done in a hurry, so the Mean Machine was the main sort of visual character. Yeah. The rest of them were about their gangs.
Hats.
Their hats.
So all of you have seen your characters in the hands of other, at least artists, if not writers, and actually yes, writers as well, with the Dead World series and stuff. What does that feel like, seeing characters that you created being passed on to other people?
Well, in my case, it's usually nice to see them done properly. Because I think people probably, they've seen these characters for so many years, and the artists. And they've probably been sort of had time to sort of get a more mature view of this sort of thing and probably get a better idea of what it might look like. I know that the Agency Warriors stuff, that one worked on that, the artists that did that afterwards were far more imaginative than the work that I did.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have got there without you, though, would they?
And often there's something to be said for the speed you did.
That's true, yeah. It's
fluidity to the characters.
Yes, we've kept that up a bit more well off.
And what about you, Brian? What's it like to see your created characters in the hands of that artist?
Well, it's nice, I sort of co-create, I think the term is co-created Judge Anderson and Hershey. And I think Hershey's recently grown ill and died.
Not mine. Oh yes, she did. I think someone resurrected her.
I think she went again, though. Did she go again?
Oh, I've got no idea.
And I remember drawing Anderson, and I was really very keen on Debbie Harry at the time. I was drawing a Debbie Harry face because I had a round face. always smiling. She's the complete counterpart of Dread. He is grim, and she's always
sort of non-judge judge.
Yeah, she's kind of light-hearted. I don't know whether other artists have done both of them very well. I would imagine they have.
Her looks haven't faded over the years.
Really? She's still going strong, is she?
But certain artists have like particular looks for them. I'm thinking of like Brett Ewins possibly had a very distinctive look for her, didn't he? Was it Shambhala, was it, that he did? I might be misremembering. Am I misremembering?
Arthur Ramsden.
Was it Arthur? Yeah, Arthur. Yeah. So all of these characters, I mean, I think the Dark Judges was 1980, I'm sorry to say that to you, which is not 20 years ago apparently, which I thought it was. 40 years ago now. What do you think it is that makes these characters so beloved still by this group in here?
So long ago, I can't remember. Well, there was such an energy about 2080 originally, and the characters were very well drawn and exciting. And they would only last because they were, characters that weren't so well drawn or well defined died. They're not there anymore. They're the ones that were done well, worked, and it's like Hookjaw. Hookjaw would always be a popular character because, he stood out. And same as Judge Death, but I can think of a few stories that, never hear of again.
But I think Judge Dredd is one of the most enduring British comic characters, isn't he? He's up there with Rupert Bear, isn't he, really?
What do you think about that, John?
Oh, that's quite good. I like Rupert.
Yeah, I love Rupert.
I think the thing about Judge Dredd is that the megacity one can encompass any kind of story.
Yes.
And so it's infinitely variable, and it doesn't get stale easily.
I think the city is as much of the character as Dredd himself, and I think that's what the films didn't get.
We actually did one or two Dredd stories where Dredd didn't appear. And that's kind of the strength of the city.
Yes.
Yeah. I like it when you also, if he's been a little bit nice for a while, you'll make him really good and horrid to remind us that he's not a hero. Like that.
I think a lot of American readers don't get Judge Dredd because it's not a good guy, superhero versus bad guys, villains, is it? He's a very, not a likeable character.
Hello. I am conscious of time and there's a big busy room, so I want to get to your questions. So I'm just going to ask like a couple more. I just wanted to ask, out of all of the villains that you've created, which is your favourite, and do you prefer creating villains over other characters? What's your favourite?
Judge Dredd.
How do you say Johnny Alpha?
Well, he's not a villain.
Oh, he's not a villain, you're right. Sorry, I'll shut up. He is hot though. Hot.
Well, that's another thing about Judge Dredd. He is both hero and villain, so that's a really strong combo. But I suppose he's got to be the best villain I've created.
I think all of my favourite villains were done by other people other than myself. I love the Ape Gang. I love the Fatties. Yeah, the League of Fatties.
I like the Mel to Dream. I think.
Who was that?
She was the start of the blog war.
Was she?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Someone dropped ice cream on her Bugs Bunny stick.
And that was it.
There was one great story I remember. I don't know, it was in an annual where he came to somebody's door to tell the occupant that he had to donate a kidney.
Was it not his heart?
Oh, his heart. He had to donate his heart. How do you get by without a heart?
It was compulsory purchase, it was called. Did you?
You drew it. That's why I liked it so much.
It's a lot of Judge Dredd's just taking a modern concept and taking it to extremes.
Yes.
When Alan and I were working together, Alan Grant, we used to often sit down with the newspaper in the morning and go through all the stories and say, Well, how could you extrapolate into a dystopian future?
Yeah.
How could we warp that into a Judge Dredd story? A lot of the ideas came from The Guardian or whatever tabloid paper we happened to pick up.
So have you got any questions ready? Anybody? Go on, Mr. Burgess.
I've always thought that Rebellion are missing out on a trick by not doing some sort of Elseworld special where they'll get 6 writers, 6 artists to do their idea of how Dredd will die. Obviously, you would do the main story at the beginning. How would you go up there?
Well, that's the trouble. I wouldn't want to do an Elseworlds. They said I could do an Elseworlds story where Dredd died, but it just wouldn't work. I want to draw the real death, or write the real death of Dredd. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it.
I thought that would be like their get out clause not to kill the character. It would be like, this is how John would actually kill him. But we don't want that to happen because it's the character.
No, you'd have to pay me a lot of money.
I killed Batman in a story once.
Did he come back in the same issue, or was it?
I mean, was this...
Yeah, I was just wondering.
It was an imaginary, the character was imagining how he would do it. He imagined that he would be on a rooftop and he would just shoot him, and the last panel was Batman lying dead. But it was just what he was planning to do.
Has anybody else got a question that they'd like to ask? Here? Right at the back, can you talk loud?
Yeah, sure. If someone sort of finally did manage to kill Dredd, would you envisage it being like, maybe like Judge Death, or perhaps more just like a regular common perp getting off a lucky shot?
A lot of people complained about the way we killed Judge Giant, but to me that was more like what would happen. You know, not every character has an epic death. So, I mean, you might just fall down a manhole. Oh dear.
I think that makes it more poignant sometimes, like the accident.
Bloody hell.
Anybody else? Yeah?
On the topic of Judge Dredd dying, do you think if he will die at some point in the future and somebody will replace him, and if so, who?
I can't see Rebellion ever allowing him to die. No, I just can't see it happening.
Anybody else?
Over my first panel, what stories, what other characters in 2018 that they never got to work on, they go, a go at that?
Well, I would have loved to have drawn DR and Quinch. I did a few covers for Eagle Comics of DR and Quinch. I love those guys. Remember them? Alan Moore wrote that, didn't he?
I don't know. I would have liked to have drawn, is it Ringo and Shaka? Is it Shaka? The Polar Bear. Yeah.
Really?
There's a lot, the backgrounds would be so easy.
I'm only really happy writing my own stories. I've never really had a desire to write anybody else's, and I tend not to do them very well. I can think of a lot of American characters that I've had a go at that I'm not that pleased with the results, so I'm happy to leave the original creators to do their own thing on them.
Is that because they asked you for a synopsis, John? I know you famously hate writing synopsis.
I don't know. I think I like to make my own rules. I don't like to go by someone else's rules.
Can I just ask which characters you've drawn? Written for American.
Quite a few. I did a really bad Punisher.
Did you?
Well, I don't know if it was that bad. Done The Crow, Star Wars, Boba Fett. I was quite pleased with Boba Fett because I look on him kind of dread and drag.
And you are all going to think that now every time you see that character.
And a few more. Xena. I thought my Xenas were pretty poor.
Yeah, but actually Mark wanted us to bring his copies for you to sign, and I told him no.
I liked Xena. I liked the TV program. And I thought I would, that's right. I thought I would do a good job on that.
Love it.
Lawless.
Next costume for you?
No,
possibly, Joanne?
I do Callisto.
Oh, lovely.
That's Joanne doing that.
Yeah.
It's one of the best costumes I've seen.
It's your favourite, John?
That's really good. Really great.
Actually, I've got another quick question of mine. When you were working together, how did it work? Did you talk? Because I know sometimes for some writers they send their scripts off and the artist gets them and the writer doesn't see it again until it's published and things like that. Did you work like that, or was it more collaborative? Did you talk to each other?
No, there's no collaboration.
No.
We never even met, did we?
No. I didn't, when I sent in a script, I didn't know who was getting it.
No.
Later on, we would start to design scripts for artists, but in the early years, I just sent the scripts in and the editor.
Yeah, we never met.
I remember interviewing John Burns once, who said that the younger writers kept wanting to talk to him so he wouldn't answer his phone. Leave me alone. That wasn't you actually, Robbie.
I remember him hanging around my house.
I just went fishing down the stairs. I didn't do dread right on that.
Gordon Rennie always wanted to write Judge Dredd. And I was kind of annoyed that I was still doing it and wouldn't give it up. He passed me by at a convention in Glasgow and said, "You're not dead yet."
Does anybody else have any questions?
Question about the sequential storytelling for something like First Earth, where I think you took it in turns as your choice. So did you talk about how it would end? What if you had any likenesses of characters that would cross over, or did you tend to kill all the antagonists off in your little chunk so there was no continuity of new characters to continue drawing so they look the same?
Well, what would happen is that, again, because things were being done in such a hurry, that say there was a character that would be created by Brian, I would then draw a script with the same character without ever having seen what Brian had drawn. And that happened quite a lot. So,
well, when we was it the day the Lord died, the one with Caligula in?
yeah.
I think the instruction was to make him look like John Hurt in I, Claudius. Was he in I, Claudius or something like that? Right. But I'd never seen it. So I gave him a foot of long hair, I think, and then you decided he had short curly hair, so I had to change that.
Were you furious? Be like, what's my pattern?
Oh God, no, I'm never furious. I just want to say here, by the way, that I've always been a huge fan of Mick's work. I think he's my favourite artist, this guy.
Oh.
I really. When you came on the scene, you were a kind of stand-in for Carlos, who was, for some reason, not drawing Judge Dredd, but then your style developed week by week. And I remember going into the office, and I'd turn up with a few bits of artwork, and we'd all be sitting looking at artwork that had been turned in that week. And the latest pages from Mick, we were all standing there looking at this stuff, thinking, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
And anyway, I just wanted to say that.
I suppose as well at those times though, how could you really let each other know what you were drawing, because there's no email, there's no anything like that, there's no camera phone. So
After a while, we all got to know each other, and once a month we all go for a drink.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And have a meal and gossip.
Yeah, there was Mick and there was Kev O'Neill and Dave Gibbons and me, and we'd meet and have a pizza once a month, didn't we? No writers. We didn't know any writers, did we?
I don't mix my life.
No. I think, did Alan Moore turn up one time? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
No, probably not. But we got to know each other quite well, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah. Anyway.
I've got one from Mick. When I was reading The Day the Law Died as a kid, I noticed that all the judge badges were the names of the current Arsenal team. Brady. I remember Brady. I want to know, did you sneak that in? Did you have to get permission from the writers to keep track, make sure who was dead and who wasn't?
And it was a hell of a job getting Stapleton.
I remember. Yeah. Did you have to negotiate it with the editors, or just
No,
stick it?
I just did it. I don't know if they noticed.
All the tower blocks, they had the names of some kind of obscure, forgotten person. I remember there was the Rita Tushingham tower block at one point. I think she's still around, isn't she?
I think so, yeah.
Did you ever do anything like that, Brian, as well? Stick some names in that?
Well, only on the tower blocks, really. I mean, I remember Tom Frame had just died, the letterer, and I put Tom Frame. Sid Barrett from Pink Floyd and Tom Frame had died close together. And I just happened to have two tower blocks on the back of behind a Dread on his bike on the cover, and I just put Tom Frame and Sid Barrett on the tower blocks and some other funny sort of name. But I don't know anything about football, so I wouldn't be able to put any football players on there.
What about you, John? Is that something that you like to stick in sometimes?
Yeah, well, I would often use different particular names on blocks. For a real slum block, I use Dean Gaffney.
I think there was I did a League of Fatties cover, and one of the tower blocks was the Billy Bunter and Orson Welles as well.
Wasn't there something about Danny Cannon? I don't think it was, I can't remember who did that, but Danny Cannon. Yeah?
On the conversation about the using people's names, did you get any backlash for people like Donald Trump towers and things of that nature?
I don't think I've used a Donald Trump tower.
Been quite recent. I bet he didn't get his subscribers issue that week.
In American comics, all these heroes kind of get reborn every few decades, but Dread's been aging naturally, and he's like 85, isn't he, or something like that?
He's getting on.
Is it going to be 100th birthday?
Yeah, it could be, yeah. I believe that he's had a retooth, but I didn't do it, but he's had one. When we started, I never thought he would last that long. I thought maybe 16 episodes, and if we were lucky, a second series, and that would be it. Because that's the way comics tended to work in those days. You didn't have characters hanging about forever. In fact, I was against characters hanging about forever. Fool that I was.
On the creation of Judge Death and then his three co-authors and sisters, so obviously you brought Judge Death first and leave the fans. Did you already have an idea of doing the other three dark judges, or did you decide after the fan feedback came in?
No, Brian had drawn such a good Judge Death that I thought I will give him a chance to do a bit more of that. It was such a strong character that we knew in his hands it would once again really stand out.
So you mentioned how Morris was behind it, but how did you, who figured out the theme of the portcullis open, and then how did you decide that?
Me?
I'm sure.
Well, I think I was pinching from Kevin, really. I mean, he did a lot of portcullis-based characters. But I remember there was a dilemma about what should be inside the face, and I think I did make the mistake at one point of having some eyes in there. I think I should have always kept the face, so you didn't know what was
a bit like Dredd.
Yes, you should never see Dredd. Somebody once asked me to draw Dredd without the helmet, so I did. So I just drew his chin and his and stopped.
I was just wondering, obviously we've seen Dredd crossover with many other characters from other comic universes. I was curious if you guys, if there's any characters you've always wanted to see Dredd interact with.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm writing that one down for next time.
Well, I did a cover for a book called Masters of British Comic Art, and it had 4 characters walking across Abbey Road, where the Beatles walked. And it had Judge Dredd and Rupert the Bear. I've mentioned Rupert the Bear already, so they've interacted to that extent.
That's by David Roach.
Oh.
The
David Roach, very good
yeah,
David Roach
so
book, yeah.
He has had a team up with Alien and Predator.
I drew a cover with Predator's head on his body, didn't I?
Yeah.
What was that? Was that
Judge Dredd.
Judge Dredd. Very good.
Was it a Titan one? No.
It was an American comic of some sort, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember it.
Further questions?
Yeah,
Oh, there's somebody.
what's the best advice you would give to someone who wants to be a comics artist?
You're a writer, you can't answer.
Probably think of a secondary choice. It's hard to say now, isn't it? Because we've got AI now. We're all a bit skittish about AI coming along, and AI doing it for us. But just do it. Do it. Draw all the time, and print it yourself. And if it's really good, which it's bound to be, somebody will see it, and you'll be like us one day.
My advice to writers is just the same, write and keep writing.
Yeah.
Be critical of your own work.
John, gentlemen, crowd, bear with me 1 second, please. Celtic Lords, quick march!
Oh my God, we're going to be arrested.
Halt! Move up, move up, move up, move up, move up. Left face. Present.
You see me after.
You were going to do it, John, otherwise, weren't you?
Andy, let me get past her.
We're going to have to go
Turn
outside.
around and let the audience.
Oh, no, there's something to see there.
Down.
Especially for you.
Quick march. Oh! Move up, move up, move up. Left face. Present.
Happy 10th anniversary!
Woo!
Down. Quick march. Thank you for your indulgence, ladies and gentlemen.
You've all seen what I've seen now.
We have a couple of seconds. I can top that. So.